Welcome to Travel Goals, the podcast that helps you travel better with deep dives into travel topics and destination inspiration. I'm your host, Portia Jones, and on this episode, we're on location talking about why Peru should really be on your travel bucket list. Home to the captivating cities of Lima and Cusco, the natural wonders of the Amazon basin and Lake Titicaca, and the intriguing historic sites in and around Machu Picchu and the Sacred Valley. Peru has become a must-visit location for adventurous travellers. It's the third largest country in South America after Brazil and Argentina and has an impressive range of landscapes. Here you'll find mountains, beaches, deserts and rainforest. There's also ancient ruins, world-class dining and popular attractions in this dynamic Latin American destination. I'm travelling around some of the highlights of Peru on a tour with travel company Peru Trip advisors. You'll hear more about them throughout the show. With me is husband and Travel Goals producer Luke, and together we're going to show you what makes Peru a unique destination and why you must add it to your travel list. Let us take you on an immersive audio journey through the highlights of Peru. You'll hear stories from Peruvian tour guides, business owners, travel agents, and more as they share their stories about why Peru is so special and why you need to visit. We started our journey with Peru Trip advisors in the lively capital city of Lima. Situated on the coast of the South Pacific, Lima is one of the largest cities in the Americas, with a population of almost 10 million people. Here, you'll find a splendid old town, surfing, beaches, street art, and excellent dining. We stayed in chic Miraflores during our stay in Lima. It's a rather affluent area of the city that's got coastal views, boutique hotels, trendy restaurants, and a gorgeous central park. It's also situated near the downtown shopping area. There are plenty of places to eat in this district, as Lima has quickly become one of the hottest food destinations in Latin America, with many top restaurants in the city offering world cuisine, fusion cooking, and traditional Peruvian dishes. One of the best ways to learn more about the food culture of a city is to go on a guided tour with a local expert. This way, you can get insider info as to what influences have shaped the dining scene of that destination. They're also more likely to know all the best places off the tourist trail and where the best eats in the city are. Our Lima tour guide Carlos took us to an unassuming Chinese-owned sandwich shop in the old town that is extremely popular with Peruvian locals. Standing outside of the busy shop, you can see it's at full capacity on a sunny morning in Lima, and you can hear the sizzle of pans and orders being called from the street.
This is very popular because Chinese culture, one of the main contributions was to the gastronomy, and this is a very popular sandwich that is eaten by families, by locals, especially on Sunday morning. And the sandwich has the pork, slices of fried sweet potato, and also onions. And Peruvians, they add chili. Yes, because that is the main ingredient also for locals.
One surprising aspect of Peruvian food is the influence of Chinese immigration, which introduced the use of ginger, scallions and soy sauce, as well as the use of woks. I asked Carlos if there's a lot of Chinese influence in Peruvian cuisine in general.
Yes, there is. There is the stir-fried, the rice, also the vegetables and the different sauces.
Wandering around the streets of the old town, Carlos explained more about the history of food in Peru and what kind of homegrown produce is used in Peruvian dishes.
One part of the Peruvian culture is families, mothers, people. They come to the markets every day to do the grocery shop. We don't go to the supermarket to buy everything, no. Because people, they want to get fresh vegetables, potatoes, fruits. In the markets, there are different sections. Now we are on the vegetable sections. We can see here potatoes, asparagus, and chilies. We use the chilies to marinate chicken, beef, fish, and also to make the different pastes for stews.
He explained that Peruvian food has a unique blend of Spanish, Asian, Inca, and other European cuisine influences, which have been integrated into dishes over the years. Ingredients tend to centre around foods such as potatoes, rice, beans, beef, eggs, fish, lamb and chicken, and of course, chili. Carlos also took us to lively markets that were piled high with a colourful array of fruit, vegetables, spices, nuts, meat and seafood. The fresh produce found in these markets are used in two of the most famous dishes native to Peru, ceviche and lomo saltado. These dishes can be found in restaurants and neighbourhood bistros across Lima and Peru, and you definitely need to sample them during your time here. We called into a neighbourhood bistro to learn a little bit more about Peru's traditional dishes.
My name is Eduardo. The restaurant is called Acurruncum, Cocina Criolla. The name comes from a very popular song in Peru.
There's a special term for restaurants and bistros in Peru that signify their word of mouth and off the tourist track status.
Huarique, that's what we call maybe a small restaurant, maybe like it can range from the hole in the wall to a medium-sized restaurant that it's maybe run by a family. It's not a big corporation.
Having enjoyed a few drinks at the bar, including Peru's traditional drink, pisco sour, producer Luke is fascinated by this dining concept.
Is that a phrase that you'd use to describe this place?
Yeah, I did.
We asked Eduardo, how do you find these places?
You just have to know somebody local to take you there, usually.
Because the phrase means a good place as well, yes?
Yeah, it's usually a good place.
It's a good place.
It's a good place that is also not very expensive.
Eduardo took us to the busy and hot kitchen where Chef was making ceviche. He explained the process of making this fresh fish dish, while Eduardo translated, as our Spanish is kind of dreadful.
Comenzamos con el ceviche, que es el plato más fácil. Ají limo.
Start with ceviche, and we use the ají limo. It's a local pepper.
Sencillo y práctico. Cebolla roja. ¿Ya?
Red onion.
Y lo más importante, pescado.
The most important fish.
Pescado fresco. Como así le dijimos hace un momento, no puede ser ni congelado ni guardado.
Ceviche is a vibrant dish that's typically made from raw fish that's been marinated in citrus juice and spices. The most important thing, though, is that the fish is as fresh as it can be.
It has to be the catch of the day. You cannot use, as he said earlier, cannot use fish that was caught yesterday.
Este es un pescado blanco.
And what kind of fish is it?
That's a flounder.
And is that local to Peru?
Yeah, it lives on the coast all the way to Chile, I believe. Now we're gonna cut the fish, slice it in little pieces. One point about ceviche is that when we pour the lemon on the fish, it cannot be left there for a long time because it overcooks the fish. You have to still cook the surface, but still feel the texture and flavor of the fish. Otherwise, you won't feel anything.
It's like the nicest chef ever.
Gordon Ramsay?
Chef then showed us how to make another traditional Peruvian dish, lomo saltado. It's a tasty stir-fry that typically combines marinated strips of sirloin with onions, tomatoes and French fries. It quickly became one of our favourite dishes on our Peru trip. If you want to try Peruvian dishes on your trip, check out Eduardo's restaurant.
We're located in the Surquillo district. It's very close to Miraflores, right? The street is called Francisco Moreno, 151. We open from 12 to 5 every day.
From Lima, we travelled to Puerto Maldonado to stay at the community-owned Posada Amazonas Lodge that's deep inside the rainforest. Visitors can stay in the lodge for a few days and experience the hiking trails, the river, and also see lots of gorgeous wildlife. This incredible rainforest lodge is an example of a joint venture between a private company and a native community, and both share in the lodge's success and finances. 75% of the profits go directly to the community, and the lodge also provides employment opportunities as 80% of the staff are also from the community.
My name is Inés Felipa Duran Perdomo, and I work as a guide here in Rainforest Expedition.
Inés took us on a group walk around some of the trails in and around the Rainforest Lodge and explained a little bit more about the area.
We are in the southeast part of Peru, okay, in Madre de Dios department, which is the third largest department in the area. And in this department we have 6 national reserve or protected area by the government, okay? And especially in this area where we are right now, Posada Amazonas is located in a private community, which is a protected area close to a national reserve that make it more special, yeah? And we have about 3,000 hectares that is protected by the community, yeah? And the government doesn't decide anything about that. And if we look at that area, like 1 kilometer away, start the Tambopata National Reserve. So this area is still a pristine forest, very well protected, and we can see a lot of wildlife, especially in this canopy tower. So during the early morning or late afternoon, we can see some birds or monkeys around, which is beautiful view also with all these tropical rainforests. Mm-hmm.
And what are the most common animals that visitors can expect to see in this area?
Talking about wildlife in general, we can see a little bit of everything, yeah? So we saw already howler monkeys, we can see capuchin monkeys, squirrel monkeys, harpy eagles, which is one of the endangered species. Sometimes we see it flying around. And some hawks, falcons, vultures, birds, yeah? We have about 650 species of bird in this particular area.
One of the brilliant features of the lodge is its huge canopy tower, which takes you 42 metres above ground level. From up here, you've got a great vantage point of the rainforest. You can see the wildlife and take lots of lovely sunset photos. We're right at the top of the canopy tower at the moment, high above the Amazon rainforest. It is absolutely gorgeous. The sun is due to go down soon, and we're seeing macaws flying by. We've seen small frogs on the steps. A little bit nervous about heights, but once you're up here, you forget all about that because it is absolutely glorious. You can see the river that we came up on the boat to the lodge, and we've trekked high above the rainforest. Sun's due to set soon, so hopefully we'll be treated to a bit of a colourful display, and apparently this is the time when macaws come out. So we've got our binoculars and we are ready to do some wildlife spotting above the forest canopy. From the top of the canopy tower, we saw the region's famous macaw birds. These birds can be found living in a nearby clay lick, which can be viewed from one of the lodge's bird hides. Visiting this hide with a guide is one of the many day excursions that the lodge offers. Another activity available is the boat ride down the river, where you can observe the wildlife in the waters of the Amazon basin. Currently on a river cruise looking for some wildlife. We've just seen some macaws fly overhead, seen lots of different types of birds flying around, but really what we're trying to spot is those giant river otters. They only come out about half the time according to our guide, so we've got our telescope and we are ready to see if we can spot these amazing creatures in the wild. Even if you're not lucky enough to spot the giant otters, there's still plenty of other activities to enjoy on the river. For example, the catch and release piranha fishing. So now we're fishing for piranhas. There's a resident gator that's circling our boat, eager to try and snatch the piranhas away from us. Almost got one. Oh. They're so fast. Oh, snatched it away. Alongside river activities, the lodge also offers guided walks around the rainforest trails, where you can learn more about the plants, trees, and animals that live here. So what is the name of this? Pama. Just going to try a pama fruit that we found on the forest floor. And you say the monkeys eat these?
The monkeys eat them.
Okay, let's give it a try. Yeah, that's got a really sweet taste. Juicy. And the tarantulas we've seen, what do they eat?
Tarantulas? They eat small crickets, grasshoppers, some ants, small insects in general, that get close to the hole. That's why they are waiting there outside, and as soon as they feel some vibration, attack.
Oh, so they don't make webs perhaps just like other spiders?
No, they don't make web, but they can feel the vibrations in the ground. That's why I told you don't move much, because they can feel. If it's something big, they know that it's dangerous, and not a prey. So they just run inside the nest.
Okay, so I should at this point mention that one of my top tips for all of these excursions is to always bring a raincoat with you. It's called the rainforest for a reason. Big shout outs to Highlander Outdoor, who kitted us out for our rainforest trip with some high quality backpacks and waterproofs. Make sure to check them out for awesome outdoor gear and be prepared for all of your upcoming adventures. Visitors coming to the Rainforest Lodge can be assured that they're economically supporting local communities and helping to protect wildlife and the rainforest.
I am Edgar Cesar Carrasco Morocco. I'm 46 years old and I am the manager of the lodge of Posada Amazonas.
Working with rainforest expeditions and developing the tourism offering at the lodge has been a game changer for the local community.
Tourism is good. They change the life and also they give more opportunity. We have more people. They finish the high school and they went also and after that to the institute, and some of them are in the university. Before they used to finish the high school and move out from the village and look for opportunity. So working in mining and logging. So now they're working here.
I see here you've got quite a few eco initiatives to be more environmentally friendly. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those?
That's a very good question. For example, in my case, I used to be a farmer. Yeah? We used to hunt a lot. Since we started working with rainforest expedition, they did well because they're focused very well in conservation and environment and protection. We have to protect, for example, howler monkeys and tapirs and jaguar, river otters and macaw, because most of that species they don't reproduce very quick. We only hunt in the villages, for example, the wild pig, because they reproduce very quick. Or there is a small rodent from the capybara family, but a small one is called picuro, is the local name. But tapir, no. Nobody are allowed to hunt in the village. No macaw, not anymore, because we used to hunt for macaw soup and also for the feathers to sell.
As travellers, we should always think about supporting locally owned businesses and how we can positively contribute to local economies and destinations. Travel companies like Peru Trip advisors work closely with Peruvian businesses like the Rainforest Lodge, so you can be sure that your money is actually staying in Peru and that you're being a more mindful tourist. We'll be right back after these messages. Are you planning a trip to Peru? Why not book with Peru Trip Advisors, a Peruvian-based company that has been taking travellers on unforgettable Peru adventures since 2011. Their expert travel advisors will work with you to create a unique itinerary that fits your travel style and budget. Visit peru-tripadvisors.com and have a look at what tours they've got to offer and let them know if you want to personalise the tour you have in mind. Their friendly and knowledgeable travel agents will come back to you with a personalised quote and will work with you to create a unique adventure in Peru. Head to peru-tripadvisors.com and book your tour today. The link is in the episode description. Hey travel fans! If I told you that you could save up to 70% when you book a hotel room using just a simple Chrome extension, would you believe it? That's exactly what you get with Room Steals. Stop paying full price for your hotels by subscribing to Room Steals today and get awesome hotel deals for less than $8 a month. Their innovative Chrome extension and website shows you the heavily discounted wholesale price for the hotel you're looking at. Using Room Steals is free, but if you want to book a discounted room through them, you just need to get a cost-effective yearly subscription. Head to roomsteals.com and use the coupon code TRAVELGOALS, all one word, all in lowercase, to get 20% off your Room Steals subscription today and start planning your next adventure. From the humid rainforest, we headed to the Inca capital of Cusco, a UNESCO heritage site and considered by many to be the historic centre of Peru. At 3,400 metres above sea level, Cusco developed under Inca rule until the Spanish colonised it in the 16th century. Cusco's inhabitants are descended from the Quechua-speaking groups that form the core of the Inca Empire. Quechua is still spoken by the residents of Cusco and is spoken so widely in South America that there are now 45 dialects within the Quechua language family. Here are a few examples of common phrases.
Imainalla,
Hello, that's the word in Quechua, no?
Allimpunchau,
Good morning,
Imainantarikunki,
how are you?
Haikan Wataiki,
How old are you?
Haika Imaina Intiwatana Piñatach Tarikunchach.
What time is it?
Today, the city is known as the gateway to Machu Picchu and is a huge tourist hotspot, with many visitors choosing to come to the city to acclimatise to the high altitudes before attempting the Inca Trail. Cusco has an impressive selection of boutique hotels, restaurants, cafes and tour companies catering to visitors from around the world, as well as domestic Peruvian visitors. We spent some time exploring the city with local guide Oscar to learn more about the history and heritage of the Inca city. So we're stood outside the basilica with our guide Oscar. Oscar, can you tell us a little bit about this central square and about the basilica?
We are here at the main square of Cusco City. It's very close to the Basilica Cathedral. We are on 3,400 meters above sea level. Yes, a little difficult for some of our guests to breathe. So the main square of Cusco, originally in the Inca time, 700 years ago, it was surrounded by beautiful temples and beautiful Inca palaces. Walking by here, you can still see in some parts, some places, the beautiful stonework from the Inca time, from those years. Most of the constructions nowadays will be the big church from the Spaniards, the Basilica Cathedral. Inside the Basilica Cathedral, for example, there are beautiful paintings. Those paintings will be from the Inca indigenous artists. For example, one of them will be the Last Supper from Marcos Zapata, where you can see Jesus and the 12 apostles dining a guinea pig. Guinea pig is very typical here in Cusco City. We grew up eating this special delicacy. So that's one of the paintings that you can see, and will be, of course, many other beautiful paintings from the Inca painters or the Inca artists.
Alongside incredible architecture, there is plenty to do in Cusco, with museums, galleries, markets full of colourful textiles, shops, and lots of day tours and trips if you want to get out of the city. After a few days in Cusco adjusting to the high altitude, which, believe me, can be a challenge at times, it was time to turn our attention to the most famous site in Peru, Machu Picchu. Historical sites are a big pull for visitors, as Peru has a very long timeline and is widely known for its Inca culture and heritage, and of course the awe-inspiring UNESCO World Heritage Site of Machu Picchu. The earliest inhabitants of Peru are thought to have arrived over 15,000 years ago. Societies emerged on the west coast more than 5,000 years ago and began to spread inland. One of the most important Peruvian cultures was the Inca, who lived in Peru around 600 years ago. The Inca built Machu Picchu, a famous and mysterious citadel in the Andes. They thrived before the Spanish invasion in 1532. Located on top of a misty mountain in the middle of a tropical forest, this ancient Inca site is considered the must-visit destination in Peru. Declared Cultural and Natural Heritage of Humanity in 1983 by UNESCO, Machu Picchu is probably the most incredible architectural construction of the Inca Empire. The citadel is made up of temples, palaces, terraces, monuments, complexes and walls, in addition to water channels built with large blocks of stone that perfectly demonstrate the wisdom of the Inca civilization. According to Peru's official tourism site, Machu Picchu receives approximately 1.5 million visitors per year. There are several ways you can visit Machu Picchu. You can trek to it over a few days and nights via the Inca Trail, one of the world's most famous hikes, or you can take a day trip there. The easiest way to get there is by train from Cusco along the floor of the Urubamba Valley and then take the bus up to the entrance of the ruins. As we were kind of on a tight schedule in Peru, we took the train rather than the Inca Trail, and Peru Trip advisors booked us onto the Peru Rail Vistadome. This is an awesome observatory train with panoramic windows that travels the route between Cusco and Machu Picchu. If you don't fancy hiking all the way to Machu Picchu, I definitely recommend travelling in style on this epic train ride. Trust me, the views are worth every penny. We arrived early in the morning to Machu Picchu with our guide Miguel, and the Inca site was shrouded in mist. We couldn't see a thing. Starting to panic a little bit, thinking, ooh, will we even see this World Heritage Site? Luckily though, Miguel was super chill and found a spot for us to wait it out. As if by magic, a few rays of sunshine broke through the mist, and then it parted to reveal one of the most jaw-dropping sights I think I've ever seen in my many, many years of travel. We're currently stood on top of Machu Picchu. The clouds have parted and the view is incredible. It is absolutely glorious up here. We're with our guide, Miguel. Miguel, can you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing around here, some of the features? You mentioned a sundial and some temples.
The Incas, they respect the mountains, they respect all the nature. Actually now we're in the sundial. It works as a calendar. Around here we're gonna see some temples. The architecture here, it is amazing in whole this area. This is one of the most beautiful places that you will see in your life.
And when was Machu Picchu discovered? What year?
Actually, we don't know the year exactly because the people sometimes they said that Machu Picchu was discovered in 1911 by Hiram Bingham, but before Hiram Bingham, people came here to this area. We say that Hiram Bingham was the scientific discovering of this area.
We spent a few hours exploring Machu Picchu with Miguel, taking lots of photos and videos to document our time at the Inca site. Instagram or it didn't happen, right? It was really good to have a guide with us as well, as Miguel was able to explain the history and culture of the site in depth and really brought it to life for us. When travelling to historic sites, I always find that having a qualified and professional guide can really enhance the experience and help you learn more and understand a place in its proper historical context. It's worth pointing out that to visit Machu Picchu, you must buy a ticket in advance. There's no entry tickets sold at the main entrance to Machu Picchu anymore. Tickets can either be bought online or at the office in Cusco. I'd actually recommend booking a trek or a tour to Machu Picchu directly with a booking agent who can get the entrance ticket for you and take all the hassle out of planning the trip. It's also really important to treat Machu Picchu with respect. Don't climb on any of the walls or monuments, stay on the marked trails, tip your guides and porters, and leave no trace. This is so that visitors can enjoy this amazing Inca site for generations to come. When visiting Cusco and Machu Picchu, make sure to also plan a visit to the nearby Sacred Valley for heritage, hiking, culture, and traditional dishes. Here you'll find small weaving villages, markets, Inca sites, salt mines, and exhilarating activities like ATV tours through undulating Andean landscapes. We headed to Chinchero with our guide Oscar. Chinchero is one of the most typical and picturesque towns of the Sacred Valley. It's a charming town best known for its marketplace and colourful textiles. The marketplace hosts a huge amount of vendors selling textiles that are woven using traditional Andean methods. Spread out over the plaza, the fabrics look especially colourful next to the white walls of the church on one side of the town square. This is a really popular place for visitors to purchase handmade souvenirs and to immerse themselves in ancient cultures.
My name is Oscar Quispe Aima. Local name Quispe Aima are still very old names from the Inca time. Yes, I am a local tour guide in Cusco and the Sacred Valley and Machu Picchu. I enjoy very much to meet people from all over the world. I really enjoy very much to share all the traditions and the customs from here. We are right now in Chinchero, which is a very beautiful traditional town. Here in Chinchero, we are going to visit the archaeological site. We are going to walk in the town. The town is so beautiful because it's a very old Inca town. So walking in the narrow streets in this town, you will see the stonework from 500 years ago from the Inca time. So it will be very beautiful experience. Besides, we are going to see also the local people. And the local people here will be dressing their typical costumes. Well, it's the typical outfit from those years, and they are very proud to dress in that way. On Sundays, they will always meet men and women together to go in the church. So right now, what we can see here, very important people, authorities, they are called the mayors from different communities. They are meeting together with many other people. After 30 minutes meeting, they will go together to the church, and they will have in the church a little mass, a mass that will be 30 minutes approximately. Then they will still meet to share some food. After the food and the snacks, everybody will go home.
Around the market square, you can see that there's lots of traditional instruments, and vendors will even give you a demonstration if you ask.
He's going to blow for us. This was a special instrument the Incas used in order to call the people. When there was a war, there was a different sound. When there was a celebration, a party, the sound was different as well. And also, there were some people that passed away, and the sound was different. So, ¿vas a hacer los tres sonidos?
Sí, papi,
yeah.
sí.
He's going to make the three sounds.
After hearing the three different signals, another vendor was keen for us to listen to his panpipe playing abilities.
Dancing music.
Alongside small villages, towns and markets, the valley is also dotted with Inca ruins and fortresses that you can explore on a day trip or as part of a longer Peru tour. One of the most impressive sites in the area is the ancient ruins of Ollantaytambo, one of the best preserved Inca ruins in Peru and one of the few places where the Incas resisted the Spanish. Pisac is also on the Sacred Valley route and is worth visiting to learn more about the Inca culture and farming. Here, you can see agricultural terraces built into the mountains. Bigger than Machu Picchu, the cliff-hugging and rugged terraces were used by the Inca farmers hundreds of years ago. Make sure to visit with a guide to learn more about the history and heritage here. For outdoor lovers, the valley also offers plenty of hiking trails, whitewater rafting and mountain biking to get your thrills and kicks. Don't skip the Sacred Valley on your Peru trip. Talk to your travel agent and get it added to your itinerary. From Cusco and the Sacred Valley, we headed to Lake Titicaca. It's the largest lake in South America, and it's also the highest navigable body of water in the world at 12,500 feet. This vast lake sits between Peru and Bolivia and is home to indigenous communities, culture, and hundreds of islands in the sapphire blue waters. It's a popular tourist spot with hotels, boat trips and restaurants catering to island-hopping visitors. You can try out a range of water sports here as well, like sailing and paddling and even fishing. One of the more popular activities here is taking a trip from Puno to see the world-famous Uros floating islands. We boarded a boat from the harbour to see what makes these islands so special.
Nana sutijaja Julio y chamaraj naro presidente acá nan cuida nya tukito acá islan no marata kija acá familia harakineo no.
Yeah. He say his name is Julio, a president of the island, that he's elected for this year. The next year is going to be another president.
Hilatas kuyacas kamisaraki balik visita ni pista nana kaja balik uchihak tasipta ka islajar manak visita ni pista ukat nana ka utasipta pusi familia alpachani wabanaka tatanaka mamanaka tunkapusini.
Okay, he say welcome to the floating island. Thank you, my brother and my sister, to be here. This is one special moment that I can share with you my costume. And in this island, we are living 4 families, 24 people altogether.
These unique man-made islands have been constructed from layers of reeds and reed beds and float on the surface of the lake. They're only attached to the sea bottom by handmade ropes as well. There's over 100 reed islands in Uros, and many of them are inhabited by small communities and families who live in simple houses constructed of reeds. you can take a short boat ride to the island, and then you'll be invited into the homes of the islanders, who have an array of colourful handicrafts, garments and blankets to sell tourists with cash to burn.
These people of Uros, all the time they survive thanks to the tourism. That was the main activity, because those families, they get organization and they start to work together where they're helping one each other, selling their handicrafts, selling or renting the rooms for the tourists, where the tourists they can get overnight.
Whilst visiting these islands is portrayed as a glimpse into authentic Peru, just 30% of the islanders actually live on the islands, according to World Nomads. The rest arrive just in time for the boatloads of tourists clutching cameras. Many Peruvians we met explained that visiting these islands is a way of financially supporting local communities. But honestly, it kind of feels a bit uncomfortable being encouraged to look around inside people's private homes and engage in a spot of traditional dress-up. Visits to these islands are often short and can lack meaningful context if you're not careful. Make sure to visit the islands with a local guide and try and spend some time talking to the islanders to learn more about their culture and lifestyle, to help you gain a deeper understanding and awareness of this unique place in Peru. Outside of the Reed Islands, there's several other trips you can take around Lake Titicaca. The remote island of Taquile offers homestays where a local family will open its doors to you, and you'll get an insight into the lifestyle and family dynamics, and also the delicious cuisine. It's probably the best place in Peru to try freshly caught rainbow trout that's likely going to be served with quinoa and potatoes. Importantly, the island's tourism is operated exclusively by its inhabitants, so you'll get first-hand knowledge from locals, and you'll also be making a meaningful financial contribution. La Quina is another great place to visit in Lake Titicaca for community-based tourism activities like shampoo making and weaving demonstrations. Visits here over the past few years have been strictly regulated and managed as part of a well-run community tourism project. All the economic benefits from visiting tourists go directly towards supporting the community financially, helping people to raise their standard of living and making basic necessities affordable. The islanders have made a great effort to receive travellers in a responsible way that's of benefit to their community. If you're interested in responsible tourism in Peru, this is definitely a place you need to check out on your trip. Make sure to add Puno and Lake Titicaca to your Peru adventure and experience a wealth of Peruvian culture and get a unique insight into island communities. We ended our journey back where we started, in Lima, having explored many of the highlights of Peru and speaking with lots of locals to gain a better understanding of this distinctive destination. From the foodie capital Lima and awe-inspiring Machu Picchu to the humid rainforest of the Amazon and the cobbled streets of Cusco, there's so much to see and do in Peru that you really need to spend as much time here as your time and budget will allow. A huge thanks to Marita and Susanna at Peru Trip Advisors for organising and hosting this trip and commissioning this podcast. If you're planning a trip to Peru, visit peru-tripadvisors.com to see their selection of brilliant tours and book your dream trip today. Let me know if you'll be visiting South America in the future and drop me a tweet. You can find me on @TravelGoalsPod or on my personal account @Pip_says. If you love the Travel Goals podcast, make sure to subscribe, rate and review. Your support is really appreciated. Until next time, travel fans, keep on trekking and we'll talk soon. The Travel Goals podcast is brought to you by South Girl Production Music and Podcasting. Luke Jones is our show producer and music supervisor. Subscribe to the Travel Goals podcast on your preferred podcast platform and don't forget to rate and review us and recommend us to a travel-loving friend.